What's up, Metal Summoners? It is so great to see you guys as always. Thank you so much for tuning in, rocking out, supporting the show, and more importantly, supporting all the musicians, artists, and everybody that we have on so that they can continue doing what they do best. As always, this is your Island of Misfit Toys. It's myself, it's Angel. We're rocking out, and we've got a brand new fiery episode for you guys right now. As a good friend of mine is joining the show, who I've never gotten to interview actually on a professional level. So we're going to jump right into it. Kingdom in Flames is with us. Rich Davis. Rich, what's up, my friend? Thank you so much for joining us, man.
You're so cool. I'm so pumped to be here, guys. You really got me fired up.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll get right into it, man. Let's have a little bit of fun. But first and foremost, congratulations are in order, man. We've got the debut album for Kingdom in Flames is live as we speak. Speaking of live, you were live not that long ago with your fans. You were doing a giveaway for the New Year's and stuff like that. But first and foremost, man, like I said, congratulations are in order on the debut album, and it's got to be exciting to have it out there.
We are so excited to get people to hear it. We're so proud of it. It's just, we're done now. Now it's the time to push it forward and just hope people like it the way we do. So it's a relief to have it done, but now the work starts.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, when it comes to, getting the album out, obviously, and all these brand new songs with this particular group, let's take it back a little bit to how the group came together and how did Kingdom in Flames become a thing?
Well, I was doing my solo project for probably like 5 years, maybe. And it came to me where I started adding other players into like some of the my last couple of songs. I was introduced to Ashley Maccabee, my drummer. He actually reached out to me to do play a guitar solo on one of his solo projects. He's multi-talented. He plays the guitar, bass, sings, and awesome drummer. And he found out that I was in the band Mystic Force, and he's like, he'd like to have me do a guitar solo on one of his songs. And I've been offered to do that kind of stuff before in the past, and I've just never been interested in doing it. But I heard the song, I'm like, man, I was just blown away. I was honored. So I did the solo for him, and then I'm like, well, since I did that for you, how about playing drums on one of my songs? So that started me with Ashley Maccabee as my drummer. And then I was doing one of my songs for the Rich Davis solo project. It was called Save Your Breath. And I had the guys from Doc Martin join in with me, Billy Fisher, Keith Thompson, and Steve Schaefer. So Steve Schaefer and I have had a past. He was a guitar player for Mystic Force back in the early 90s part of things. We had our Mystic Force started out as a 2 guitar player band. And then when the other guitar player left, Steve filled in for like a year because we were booked like 4 nights a week. So we were playing out all the time. So Steve was in Doc Martin. So then me and Steve kind of reconnected, and we're like, you know what, we should start doing something. And I went through a phase where I just did not want to be in a band with a bunch of players. So all the hassle and stuff like that. So that's why I was doing my solo project. And then I got the itch just wanting to play out again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to put a band back together. And so there was Ashley and Steve. And then we just, I knew Donnie Rush from FKNA, local band around here that was great. And then just going out in the clubs, and I just, saw Tripwire with Bruce Baldwin singing. And I'm like, oh my God. His range was incredible. And I'm like, I knew that he could pull it off exactly what I wanted. So we put it together, and everything just worked out great. So I'm excited. So now I can actually get back on the stage again.
Yeah.
Which, I've spent so many years being in, been in a band since, I've been in a band since junior high school, and performing and renting halls. So I miss playing out.
Absolutely. What was it about having that extended time kind of off the stage, like as far as like, that being a consistent thing, whether it be touring, booking shows, stuff like that. But when you were concentrating, on the Rich Davis band and doing like your solo work with it being like the records and singles and putting out just your personal music, what was it about having that time away from the band aspect that you think is going to be one of the biggest benefits of Kingdom in Flames?
Well, I think what it was with my solo project, I focused on moving really fast. So I would do like do a CD, a single, and a video that went along with it, and I'd have it out like every 3 months. Mm-hmm. So I was constantly pushing. I was constantly doing magazine interviews, magazine ads. I really focused on the social media side of things and the promotion side of things. So it really started to spread my name out, building on where I left off with the Mystic Forest days. And now starting this band, it's like, I don't want to, I'm going to pick up right where I left off with these communications I met with some of these people, and like Brave Words and Tim Henderson and all these cool people that have connections and the cool heavy metal sites like you and the Metal Summit here, and try to build from where I got to with my Rich solo project. Just move on from there. So
nice.
I think it helped. I mean, obviously.
No, for sure. Like with your roots back, to the 80s and everything that you did with Mystic Force, currently with Kingdom Flames, when you had to kind of sit down with yourself, or even yourself and Steve, when you guys were talking about, reconnecting that way, what was it musically that you felt was the direction that you wanted to go with it? I mean, you're going to have those implanted roots that are always going to be there in a certain style. But when it comes to like the way that the music business is now, was there anything in particular that you had to like say to yourself or in connection with Steve about like the musical direction of the band?
No, it was just, we always just wrote whatever came to us and just kept it as fresh as possible. And it just, whatever came out. Like, like if I was still in Mystic Forest, the music from, me and Chris Lembach were the co-writers, the main writers for Mystic Forest. And I would imagine that if we had stayed, the music would have sounded like this now. This is just how my writing style just progressed to this. I can't say I want to write a certain style or whatever. Unfortunately, this is how it is, and hopefully people like it, but
yeah,
I can't change the way I write. And Steve is the one who he was the majority of the lyricist and the melodies for all the vocals. So it worked out great where I would have a song and I would show Steve and he'd come over here and we go over and kind of like do a, I would write like 20 rhythms. We kind of like put it in place, in Photoshop or Pro Tools. And then by the time he got in the very next day, all the lyrics were done. Almost every song, every time I gave it to him, the next day it was ready to go. So he was like right on it. So it just clicked. I don't know how it happened, but it did.
Absolutely. When it came to, deciding that you guys were going to do this project and, finding the right pieces and everything and reconnecting with, not only, your peers, but also finding new peers. Was there ever a time where you considered yourself as like the singer for Kingdom in Flames?
Never.
Okay.
No. I can't sing. I just did that. I can't even, sometimes I can't even go back and listen to some of the stuff I sang or screamed or tried to sing. I was never the singer in any of the bands. I mean, I barely did any backups in the Mystic Force stuff. So it was just out of necessity.
Sure.
It was just to be able to keep things all self-contained here. And if the song was going to fail, it's all me failing or whatever. I mean, some of it was just a learning experience because all my solo stuff, how it started was I was going to mix it, master it, record everything, do the video all myself. Mm-hmm. So if you go back and listen to my very first couple of songs, even the production was horrible. Just everything was really bad about it. But it was a learning experience, and I didn't care because I set my goals on. I'm going to get the song to a point where it's time to stop and move it on. I'm not going to try to perfect it and dwell over for months. you get it to this point, put it out, because it's all about the next one after that. So, and I can tell that there's an improvement production wise, songwriting wise. And no, when this band started, I knew for sure no way was I singing on any of it. There's not one voice on. Well, there's some parts in there that are me, but like the very ending of the album, the radio playing, that was me. But that's about it.
Oh, I got you, man, for sure. I thought they were out here, maybe on the floor. So before I kick it over to Angel, one more thing when it comes to currently with Kingdom Flames is let's talk a little bit about Black Widow. The
Okay.
it is the single as well as the music video.
Yeah. Yep. What do you want to know about it?
Well, I mean, let's start off with the designing of the song and just kind of like how you wanted to like put together the writing for that, and then I love the way that the music video was put for it, because I mean anything that's got a little bit of like a dark aesthetic is always going to be super appealing for me.
Yeah, that was a song to do a video on. That was a perfect song to shoot a music video about. That's a really strange, magical song to this band, because first off, let's say even before Bruce sang it, my intent was, I heard my wife now, Kez, sing before, and she has such a haunting, this singing stuff that she does. I'm like, you know what? I think that would really kind of work, kind of like a Rob Zombie-ish type thing when I song. So I gave her a gummy, and I brought her in here in my studio, and I put the microphone on, and I looped the intro riff over and over. I'm like, what do you feel? Just riff, do whatever you want. And she was high off her ass, and it was sounding so cool. And I reached over behind her and hit the record button. So she didn't even know I was recording. So what you're hearing on all that intro was what she did the first time whatever came to her. And she's like, oh man, fuck you. I'm just experimenting, man. She's from England. And all that was just what she did that one time. We looped that and put that as kind of the intro in the middle part. So that was kind of interesting. And then the very first song that Bruce came over to sing was Black Widow. And Bruce has been in a cover bands his whole life, but he's never recorded anything himself. He's never been on a album or anything like that. So this was the very first time he came over to record. Never really heard his voice in a recording studio ever before.
Oh, wow.
So he came over and Steve was like, well, here's the idea Steve had for the vocals. Because when we heard Kez doing her thing, Steve was like, oh my God. He wrote the lyrics perfect for her, being whatever, the haunting, whatever the story's about. And so we gave Bruce the idea of the melody, and the very first night that Bruce came over, that's what you're hearing was the recording. Like 95% of that is that very first night when Bruce came over. And that never happens. All the other stuff, mostly when Bruce came over, that was a one take thing. We punched in a couple of spots here and there, but Black Widow was the first song he sang and the first time he recorded, and it was just magic. So it was really cool.
No, super cool. And I love the video too, also just because like it's got this like, very interesting kind of like, wow, kind of intro where you've got like the shattered glass and the blood smear on it. And I'm a big fan personally of like performance videos. Like I like seeing the band performing in the music video. Like I like a good like concept video or videos that kind of have something almost like a little mini movie. Like right. I like all that kind of stuff too, but I'm just a good old fashioned fan of like still watching the band perform. But I love the fact that you guys kind of look like you're playing in like the room from Saw.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that really turned out cool. We the video director that I've been using, Andrew Capino, I've had him do like my last 6 videos. And when I'm ready for a video, I call Andrew and I tell him my idea, and then the search begins for the space first. and I wanted to get like a old rustic building, condemned building, but they're really hard to find and to be able to get into these days with all the codes, and they don't let you in them anymore. So we found that the old Cork and Seal building on Eastern Avenue downtown, and it's a really cool, huge space with all these buildings. And they're like, okay, we'll rent you a room. And we went in the building, the place that they said they'd rent us, and I hated the room. It's like, I don't see any way we can do anything interesting in this room. And that window that was in the background was all covered with wood. So I'm like, we couldn't find a space, so we decided to use it. And then the day of the shoot, I pulled all the plywood off the window, and this beautiful window was there. I was like, oh my God, it's perfect. So we took all the little nooks and crannies and put hanging fake bodies and spider webs on the ceiling. And, I cracked my glass and taped it. I didn't break their glass, so I broke the glass and stuck it up there and made our little cocoons and tried to tell a story. It's tough to tell a story sometimes when you don't have much time,
Sure.
Like we tried to make it look like we're all lined up in the cocoons. She gets to the last one and it's empty because Bruce got out. Then you show him running. Then she's chasing him. Then she hunts him down, bites him. Then he's, all caught up on the, her spider's lair, and then rips him to shreds. The end.
No, for sure. But I also love the style of just the way that you guys were also shot, like individually. Like I love, the vocal shots are great. I really love the one of you specifically where the neck of your guitar is just straight up and you're just you're doing like the soloing fretboard work just right where that just is the shot, like the camera's just kind of like right up in your grill, and it's a cool aspect. And I love the blinking light strobe. Like I said, like I'm a big horror nerd anyway, and so that video is just like super up my alley. And like I said, it's just got this who was killed in this room, like Saw kind of aspect to it, but along with that same kind of like aliens, species, killer clowns from outer space kind of thing. Not obviously so much like the campiness or the color, but if anybody's who's seen that movie remembers like the cotton candy cocoons when they kind of like took them apart and you saw like the bloody, victims inside and stuff like that. So I just thought it was really cool. Like, watching her, just looking for her victims as well as admiring her handiwork.
Yeah. I tried to make as many kind of, all the videos, I try to make all the props myself. So, I did a little video, like Bruce was wearing a shirt that was already torn, and I sewed it up loosely and had a baggie that had, I saw that you could make fake intestines by women's hosiery, or whatever. And I soaked them in blood and I made them really long and stuck them in there. So when she ripped it out, pulled the intestines out, that was that. Goofy stuff like that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. A little bit of that, that special effects like horror, makeup style to it for sure, man.
Exactly.
Absolutely, brother. Angel, my good sir. Let's kick it back up to you for a little bit, man.
What's up, Angel?
New Year. Thank you so much for being with us on New Year's Day.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Just a cliche question, because everybody releases records now on Fridays. So what made you just want to say, you know what, fuck the rules, put the record out on New Year's Day?
Well, the only thought process I had was the album had been done since, September, but I didn't want to release an album and have, 2024 stamped on the album for life and just have 2 months in 2024. And then it seems old to people. I made that mistake with one of our Shift albums. We released it in like November or December of the year. And then, so I wanted to get 365 days of, there's a shelf life on albums, really. So I'm giving myself 1 full year to have this, to seem like a new album. And that was the only thought process.
No, just genius, because I like when people just want to break the rules. want to put out the record on Fridays because that's what everybody's doing, like they used to do back in the day when it was putting out the record on Tuesday, and
Right. Yep.
kind of following that
Well,
pattern.
what day was it? What is today? Well, yeah. God, what is
Today's Wednesday. Today's Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday. Thank you. Thanks, Jay.
No, but-
it's Wednesday all day.
Okay.
So we had since last year to prepare for this interview.
Okay.
That's
Yeah. Right.
no more dad jokes for New Year's Day. Sorry, Angel.
No, that's all right.
So what else you got, Angel?
So what are the plans as far as touring for the rest of 2025?
Well, we don't have any set tour yet. So the guitar player Steve Schaefer had some hand surgery, had some carpal tunnel issues, so he had surgery a month ago. So we're going to let him heal up. We'll probably be ready to start playing by April, May. So we'll jump on, maybe do a couple of local shows or a local show. And we're planning on, I think, going to do our first show, a friend of mine's band, and do a show like start at Baltimore Sound Stage and then go up to Pennsylvania for the Friday, Saturday, just to get our toes wet. And then I'd like to just buy ourselves onto a tour somewhere, whatever's coming around, what we can do. But nothing set yet. No plans. We need to get ready first. So, I mean, right now it's time, while he's healing up, I'm going to start getting my hands back acclimated because I want to do a bunch of guitar solo playthrough videos and start pushing the social media stuff like that and cool little gimmick stuff like that. If people want to see it, I'm posting it anyway. So,
Dude, I saw the video you posted. I was fucking laughing about the video you posted yesterday. You're in a suit with the thing with milk.
Yeah, that was brutal. I was. You could see when I was putting the box down, my hand was trembling. Yeah, I wasn't too looking forward to that. Yeah, I put myself through a lot of shit for this art.
That was a nice suit, dude.
Thank you. I didn't get it dirty. I still hung it up.
But the thing with the milk had me dying. I thought it would be champagne or something.
Nope. Yeah, that was hot. That was really spicy. That was funny. That's the thing. I'm trying to not everybody's into my style of music or bands, but I'm trying to entertain too. I want to have mix it where it's got to do with the music somehow, but yet make people laugh where I'm not really jamming our music down their throats. The guitar solo playthrough stuff like that, that's cool. But if you're not a guitar player, then you're not interested. But a stupid, Raiders of the Lost Ark video will hopefully make people chuckle, and that's going to build our audience to see that kind of stuff. So I'm here to entertain. So that's what I'm going to do.
You know what? You brought up two very cool words. Guitar solos, because we know, like in the last 20 years, it's been kind of died down. Like, do we really need guitar solos? So I'm curious to know, what's your thought process when you're putting together a guitar solo? And have you ever done a guitar solo that just was not right for the song?
That was what?
A guitar. Have you ever done a guitar solo that just was not right for the song, and you just went and just?
I've done a guitar solo. I did I think it was maybe 2 solos on this album, and Steve Schaefer is like, you know what, Rich, I think you can do better than that. I mean, we get to a point now where we push each other to do the best that we can, and if he's like, I think you can do something cooler than that, and I was like, really, what a dick thing to say, but he was right, because it made me step up my game. I just try to write the solos to fit the song, and sometimes, and that was the one occasion that he thought it didn't, and I'm glad he said that because it made me step it up and do something cooler. But the solos, I mean, that's obviously as a guitar player, that's my funnest part to do, and I really tried to push my playing to a level that I wasn't at then. I don't want to play in a comfort zone. I mean, I don't think that makes sense. I'd rather, I want to be better when I record a solo and struggle. And now that I've got to put it all together to play live, now I've got to be better now than I was when I recorded the album. Because when I do a solo in the studio, I kind of plan it out and everything, but to track it perfect, like I'll segment it a little bit. Like I'll get through this part, and like this guitar line will go over, the note will go over, the other part will come in, or it's a harmony note. So it's kind of segmented. It's not one whole solo in one time in one take. So now I've got to be able to pull it all off perfectly and stand up and bang my head when I'm doing. Oh, I'm screwed. But it's going to be fun because, I want to be able to, the idea is to push the limit. And, I'm really happy with what I did. I think I came up with some really cool, super fast solos. So it's going to be fun because I got a lot of guitar player friends. And I kind of want to do a video where I can show them break it down. Instead of just playing the solo, I'd like to break the segments down to let them know what I'm playing, because some of it's so fast, so they can actually feel sorry for me while I'm playing it, And so they can figure it out. If they want to learn a new riff, I'm teaching them something or whatever,
No, it's pretty interesting. Now on YouTube, you kind of see that a lot. People going to, some of Slash's guitar solos and just kind of replaying it, but kind of explaining it and going over it like in slow motion.
Yeah.
So that's something really cool that is out.
No, I like that. I mean, growing up in my generation, we didn't have that. Didn't have the internet really wasn't even around when I was a kid. We just had, cassette tapes, stop, start, rewind. And that's how I had to figure out guitar solos that we had to play.
Didn't something with the guitar chords?
What's that?
Didn't Hit Parader magazine. I know they had the lyrics, but sometimes they would have guitar chords or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just mistaking them for another magazine, but
they had Starlicks and stuff like that. It was a little cassette tape that one of these magazines would put out. It was called Starlicks, I think, and they would have I remember getting the Randy Rhoads Starlick. And it wasn't really Randy Rhoads doing the riffs, but it was some other guy doing something in Randy Rhoads style. It would teach you 5 of his main riffs that he would do. But today's technology, showing and breaking it down. I mean, these kids these days, on my social media, I seem to have collected so many great guitar players, and there's these kids, these super young kids that are so unbelievable. I mean, the talent level, musicianship on, I guess, any kind of, instrument is just through the roof. It's really amazing. You can't ever be a person that's cocky and thinking you're the best at anything, because there's always someone bigger, stronger, faster. So it's humbling, I think, to me, seeing my grouping of people that are on my social media feeds, I'm an average guitar player. So people just need to know that there's so many different levels that go to the extreme. You might not like what it sounds like, but the proficiency and the talent is incredible. So it's good to be humbled. It's good to not only, like you were saying with going to the shows. I go support a lot of local bands. We go out every weekend, but it's always good to go to a show and see some of the national acts that you really like, to see how the pros are on stage. Yeah. To be like, holy shit, I need to get home and pick my guitar up because I suck. You know, you got to be humbled. You got to see how, you know, you got to see some. It's fun to watch someone better than you play. You're never going to get good if you don't see people better than you play. It's got to push you to get better. I mean, you don't want to have it push you where you give up. It should inspire you. So, I mean, hopefully I can inspire some people that are, maybe a little bit behind me, and I can inspire them to come up to me, and I can watch my inspiration videos from my people that I like, and that's how it works. We should help each other.
Absolutely.
Brian wants to know, give your 13-year-old self advice.
Is my what?
Your 13-year-old self, like if you were 13, what advice would you give yourself if you were 13 years old?
I don't know. I was pretty, I don't know. I think the way everything came about with, I'm very fortunate in my upbringing and my career in the music. I always I never got frustrated. I mean, when you're 13 years old as a musician, like I was, I wasn't good, but at 13, you thought you were. You're playing like Green Manalishi on the guitar or whatever. I don't even know what the hell it was back then, but you play that one riff over and over because it's the only riff you knew, and you thought you were so awesome, and you would crank that amplifier so loud, and neighbors would be pissed off playing the same riff horribly, out of tune guitar, but I didn't give up on it. I don't know if what message I would give myself. Because I kind of stayed true to practicing and learning. And I needed to go through failures as I did to get to where I am now. So if I was to give myself advice, I might be skipping something that I should have learned the hard way. I mean, sometimes you can't learn by someone telling you got to learn by failing. Like that Facebook Live feed I did tonight with the microphone that didn't work. That's not going to happen again. I promise you that. So,
hey, look, the interesting thing about Facebook, about just going on live, Jay, you and I have had that where things have always happened where microphones and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Something being choppy.
Yeah, it's the technology side on things can be a real pain in the ass. Like, I don't know how many times over the years recording and then having, like, back in the day, we were recording with ADATs. Remember the ADATs, the 8-track tape? Or 8-track tape? No, they were the VHS tapes and the ADATs. And we had a whole, like, 4 songs of drum mixes that got eaten. And I had to tell my drummer that the machine ate your drums. You got to he took off a week of work. I mean, my computer shut down on me in the middle of recording sessions and just gone. Once it's shut down, it's just gone. You can't get it back. Whole songs gone, and you can't recreate it.
No.
So it teaches you one thing is to back up your computer often. Yeah, technology is tough, but at my age, I'm the one, I'm not stuck in the, I know a lot of guys my age with, saying, with the Mystic Force stuff, can't get past that time in their life, the 80s and the 90s, and they stay living there. And I'm always moving towards the future. I love all of some new bands that are coming out. I mean, don't ask me any of their names. I can't think of any right now, but I like the way things are going. I hate the way the music industry is going because it's like so, it's been just killed, non-existent. But I love the new bands. I love the new styles of music. So I'm always kind of like moving towards the future. I love the technologies. I love, people using this AI for some good stuff. I think AI is dangerous, but it does help in certain things. I mean, I know it's killing the art industry because, we're doing our shirt designs and stuff like that. And we haven't used AI, but for fun, we'll like put in, AI search, do a Kingdom in Flames t-shirt with a castle and a spider, whatever. Oh, you get 10 of the most unbelievable pieces of art. But it's just like, people know that that's fake. So I don't know. We're trying to keep it all natural and real. So I don't know.
Well, I want to go back over something. It wasn't controversial, but some guitar players would say, how can he have 3 guitar solos in a song? Remember with November Rain, Slash had 3 guitar solos. And there's been in the past, like I remember, if I'm not mistaken, Round and Round had 2 guitar solos like back to back. With Warren and Robin both doing the guitar solos. What's your take on adding more than 1 guitar solo to a song? Does it something that you've ever tried?
I love it. I'm not opposed to that at all. I'm the lead player in this band, so Steve's more on the rhythm. He holds down the rhythm section of it. But back when I had the band Shift, and we did the first Shift album was all me. I did all the guitar and bass guitar on that one. But the second album, we had a second guitar player, Doug Guthrie, and he did I did a solo here, and then he did a solo at the end of the song, or we did 2 solos and songs. No, I'm all about that. Nothing wrong with that. More guitar solos, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
More guitars.
Yeah, more guitars. I'm not much of a lyrics. I'm not much of a vocal guy. I mean, I don't even know the lyrics to our songs, and I don't, so if I'm about the melody and the tone of the vocals and stuff like that. But as for with the lyrics, that's just not my thing.
So I'm going to do one more question before I kick it up to Jay. And I'm always curious that the record's done. Have you thought about going back and thinking I should have changed something on that record?
No, I honestly don't think we're all super happy with the way it turned out. We had plenty of time to do that, and we did do that over and over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, we took about little over a year to write the album. Steve and I re-recorded the guitars 4 total different times, all the rhythms 4 different times, getting them tighter. And we tried a different recording process, did them again. Then we did it 4 different times. I still have original versions of the songs, and I'll probably pull them out to listen to. But the songs have morphed. I mean, the song is not done until even the end of the mastering, because I mean, you always can find something that adds like a sound effects at the very end. You're like, man, you know what? That's such a cool hook of the song. Make that more dominant in the mix. So the song goes through so many different changes, from conception with just guitar parts to when everything's done. It's never completed until the final mixing and mastering is done, because so many changes can happen to song that totally alters the way the song comes across. I mean, it's happened so many times. I mean, and with Pro Tools, you have the ability, everything's written to a click track. So everything can be, you can take this part and go like this, or go like that, or cut that in half and think about it. And, and I don't think that's cheating. We wrote the parts, but you're manipulating it on the computer. I mean, we're writing. That's a key part of the writing process, is the computer. So we went back and forth. We would come up with ideas after the fact, after we thought the song was totally moving on. We thought it was perfect. And someone would be like, why don't we think about doing this to it? And we're like, we'd fight about it because you get used to hearing a song a certain way so many times. And then when you make that change, you fight it internally because it's different. Not that it's bad, it's just different. And that's weird to you that it's different. But everybody just gotta learn to just don't make a judgment right now. Just sit on it, listen to once, listen to twice, go home, then the next day let's do it again, and then we'll all talk. And we've learned to really be patient with stuff like that because some of the best stuff has changed after the fact. So, and that's pretty much with every song on the album. So, the order has changed. We actually, you'll find out this out, but what we did was the order of the songs that's on the limited edition CD is different than the order of the songs on the digital release. We switched the order of the songs. The artwork is different. So if you notice that, the artwork on the CD, he's lying down sleeping.
Yeah.
And then it says 2:59 on the clock. On the digital one, he's leaning up in bed. It says 3 o'clock. It's a minute later. And there's little cubby holes that are filled with different things now. So we got little kind of like Easter egg little things, like the guy under the bed's now looking up at him. And then we're going to do when we get, I've got a couple record labels that are kind of interested. So when we release the album version of it, he'll be stepping out of bed. And it's going to be a little different. Then we might do something different in the album too. It's all about just mixing things up. And I know it's weird when you listen to an album, you get used to hearing an order. It's like I got a playlist on my car, and it kind of pisses me. I kind of don't like it because I know exactly what the song's going to be next. So is it a good thing that we mix the order up? Are people not going to like that? Because they're used to hearing what's coming next, or who gives a shit anyway? Right?
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
Man, I'm just short when you're having fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, the whole process is fun. I'm kind of like, it's kind of, now that the writing process is, it's kind of like, it was so fun because Steve would come over here every week. We go record Bruce every week. It was constantly doing something fun. And we're drinkers and partiers. So, Steve got me this Alien. We have a song called Outer Space Alien, and he saw this and got this at vodka. So we would come over and do a shot. He'd come in, he'd track for a little bit, kind of like tired, go in the kitchen, do a shot, do a hit, come back and record, go back in there, do a shot, do a hit. So it came to be a fun, just getting together with your buddy. I mean, how fun how you can't beat that. When people like each other, hanging out and jamming it's a blast. So I do miss that. But now we're going to start practicing, so we'll be seeing each other again. So it's going to be fun.
I'm going to kick it right back up to you, Jay. Thank you so much for your patience.
Oh, absolutely, brother. No worries, man, for sure. Like Rich, first of all, I appreciate the humbleness, man, but you're an amazing guitar player, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
But I love the record, and I wanted to stay on it and kind of hear a little bit about some other songs that I really liked about it, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I love the album title, Inside the Upside Down, because I love titles or things kind of like that in general. I find titles of things really unique, even in like I said, movies and stuff that I like, there's a movie that Nicolas Cage did called Color Out of Space that I love. And I always, like stuff like that. And then you have kind of science-y type of names, even something like Event Horizon, things like that. So I think it's such a cool album title, and the song itself is also really, really awesome. And so I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about that song, and if that song, as far as the title track goes, did that song like kind of instantly scream album title as well, or did it kind of like seem the best fit?
I think it just seemed the best fit. I mean, I think we all. I don't think we had any kind of. No one had any kind of pushback on that. I think we all felt that that was the strongest opening for the album. We went to, when we started thinking album names, we kind of knocked around the idea of, do we just, was it just going to be a self-titled album, Kingdom in Flames? We thought about that. And I'm pretty sure, I know Steve Schaefer is the one who came up with the title, Inside the Upside Down, as he came up with the title for all the songs. I don't know. I think the song just, it was just, since it was such a strong opening song, and then we just like, why don't we just call the album that? And then everybody's like, you know what, that's a great idea. Because it is a really cool title for an album. Steve wrote that song and Death Serenade, both from watching Stranger Things.
Dude, it's so funny that you say that because
and our last song, 11.
Uh-huh.
So we have 3 songs from that, written from that, and he wrote them all back to back to back, and we wrote those songs. They were like the last 3 songs that I wrote, and they just see it. The writing style just started to really come together with being really cool and tighter and more energy and really fast rhythm picking, and so I wrote those. Those are the last 3 songs I wrote, and he slammed those lyrics to him. Like I said, this day he got home from hearing it, the lyrics were done, and so they are written about that in the Stranger Things vein.
Mm-hmm.
And 11, that song 11 actually originally was the ending to Inside the Upside Down. Inside the Upside Down would fade out, and then 11 faded in. That's how, on the Pro Tools track on my end, that was one song. And then we're like, 11 ends. Okay, well, let me get into the kind of like the meaning we had for the Donnie Rush, the bass player, came up with the ideas. Why don't let's do a little bit of like a kind of like a concept-ish thing for the album, and let's have it so you're falling asleep, and this whole album is your dream, and it goes through all these destruction and all these nightmares. And then 11, it wakes you up. The alarm clock goes off, and then you wake up from the dream. So 11 would have been the end song with waking up, and then it was attached to Inside the Upside Down. But it was such a great song, we didn't want to put Inside the Upside Down as song 10.
Right.
We're like, oh, that doesn't work. Well, so we ended up cutting 11 separately, putting Inside the Upside Down first, and that's how that was.
Well, that's funny too, because you've got Death Serenade as track 2 on the digital, track 3 on the physical copy.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like thinking about that until you told that story, where I was like, well, they've got 11 as track 11 on both.
Yeah.
I wonder if Rich ever kind of thought to like fuck with people and put it as like track 8. But now it makes sense that since it was kind of the end of a song originally, that it might as well transition to like the end of the record and be like, well, that's kind of kooky to make it. That's cool to make it the end of the CD.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can fuck with people a little bit on the digital if we want to, but then it probably kind of would have seemed that way a little bit out of place. Because that's the other thing too, when it comes to like a record, is like the flow of tracks as people are listening to the story from track 1 to track whatever.
Well, see, that's the thing. It was the storyline. So when we all were kind of knocking around the order for the song for the album, we came up with this order, and we were going to do No End in Sight as track 2, Actually, that is what's on the album, right?
Yeah, you've got No End in Sight
Yeah,
on number 2 on the physical.
Right. So, and Steve was like, when we all voted, and Steve, being a democracy, Steve got outvoted with that. But he I didn't. And then after the album was out, he made a comment to me. He's like, yeah, God, I got something about putting the song. I wish we had changed this. I'm like, what? He goes, I wish we had done this. I'm like, because, when I wrote the songs, I really did the stories between this song and that song really kind of go together. So I'm like, dude, you should have spoken up, because being the lyricist, the main lyricist of the band, that has a little bit more pull than just saying this song should go behind that. Now it has a meaning to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you know what? Just why don't we change the order? Who cares? So we put the Death Serenade where he thinks it should have been in the first place. And the other guys kind of tentative to it. I was tentative to it too, but I'm like, let's just put them in order the way you think, what you thought, as the way you wrote the lyrics. Give me that order. I put them in order, and I said, guys, look, I know we've already released it on the album, but let's just think about this, because we can always, try something different to the digital. Just listen to it and see what you think. And it just flowed better. I think the songs go in and out better now. I mean, before, I think it was good because Inside the Upside Down, it's kind of like holding your breath, because it's kind of an intense song. And No End in Sight kind of does drop you down a little bit. And Death Serenade is pretty intense too. But so you're more intense for a longer time I think it flows better. So.
Nice. No, absolutely. As you make your way straight up to Let's Fucking Go.
Yeah.
As you're yeah, exactly. You're just heavy intenseness up to just balls out when it comes to that one. And when I was listening to you talking about the covers, because I don't have a physical copy of the CD yet, but I will. But I've listened to it digitally, and I did notice the differences on the album covers, which I thought was actually kind of cool. Just from your friends and fans posting the physical copies that they have.
Cool.
And the one thing when I was listening to your story that made me kind of wonder, because I love album covers. I mean, Angel does as well, because we're physical copy people. But the thing I think is kind of got me curious when you're talking about with the labels and the official release that you would put out, is I got to thinking about, okay, the person's lying down, then they're sitting up, the clock's changing. Yeah. And it got me thinking about the mushroom cloud through the window and wondering if you're going to change up how the mushroom cloud looks.
It is.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought, because it's I was like, because on the digital version, you can blow up a picture of the physical copy on Facebook and get a good hard look at it. The digital copy is still only really that big. So
it's funny. It's funny you said that, because we did take the mushroom cloud and go up a little bit, but we should have gone up a little higher than that. But we did touch that, because that's funny you said that. Mm-hmm. But I guess when the mushroom cloud gets to that point anyway, it's kind of more bellowing. But
it's more about kind of the width as opposed to the height.
Yeah. And we added more things in the shelving, we added this guy in one of the shelves, and some neat stuff. But it's more eye candy, just like you said. I love looking at albums and seeing something different. It's just something cool.
Oh no, absolutely. And that was the thing I just thought was kind of cool, because again, when it comes to the digital, you can't really blow that stuff up very well. Yeah. So it's you really have to look, and some things you're just going to miss. So there was stuff that I could notice, because also, even with the cloud, the color is much more eye popping and stuff like that. So it's easier to miss a little something on the shelf, but you notice a mushroom cloud through your window. That's and cool. And one of the other songs I wanted to touch on that I just think is so fun, and I like the title, is Runaway Trainwreck. So I was kind of curious a little bit about when you've got the lyrics presented for that, what was it for your brain when it came to like how you wanted like your guitar playing to morph with that?
Well, all I can tell you that Runaway Trainwreck is, a couple of these songs, and even when I was writing my silly songs, you usually write a song from something you're feeling or something that's real. To Steve, Runaway Trainwreck is about someone he knows. It's about someone that's just out of control in their life, and they're destined to crash. So someone just out of control and blah blah blah. But I knew as for the song just got to so the solo had to be just syncopated, just flat picking and just like driving all the way through it. I mean, this hand doesn't stop picking through the whole solo.
Oh wow.
So
are you a jazz pick guy or more of like a traditional medium, like traditional guitar pick size?
Just a traditional guitar.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. Because I've always noticed that in your playing and like the speed in which you play. And me personally, I'm also a big like Michelangelo Badio fan, and I know that he's a jazz pick guy, especially with the speed in which he plays. He plays those really teeny tiny picks. So I just kind of got curious when you were talking about that last segment.
A normal pick, and I go to like a somewhat a thinner pick. I used to go to like not a heavy pick, but it's weird. Just doing this album was a lot of lessons learned on how different your tone can be depending on changing the thickness of your guitar pick. The thicker the guitar pick, the darker the tone is.
Yeah.
And when you go to a lighter pick, it gets brighter and brighter the thinner the guitar goes. And I would never think that playing really fast like that, you would want too thin of a guitar pick, but I'm like on a 0.8 or something like that.
Okay.
So it's not heavy, but it's not super light, but it's a lighter pick than I would have ever thought I'd be playing.
Right.
And it gets sharp my style is more like the Chris Impellitteri or whatever. I'm that's speed picking type, like stuff like that.
For sure. Yeah, like when I was doing doing stuff in bands, and I was a bass guy myself. Like I like heavy picks personally. I used traditional, triangle style bass picks, and I liked them in like the heavier thickness.
Right.
Occasionally like the XL, and one was because like I like to move around and stuff like that, and moving around a lot on stage also kind of made me a little clumsy. So when it came to my picks, so like I had to stop using like guitar picks because I was dropping them all over the place, or they fly off somewhere. Yeah. So I needed bigger picks to actually physically hold. But also me personally, just sound wise, I like the heavier boom that you kind of got from a thicker pick, obviously hitting a thicker string.
Yeah.
So I always was kind of more into that because it was like the combination of liking the sound mixed with just knowing that I'm clumsy.
Well, I think with a bass guitar, I think it should probably a lot different because, I know I did a fill-in a couple of gigs. My old singer for Shift, Jeff Calder, was in a band called Cypher, all original, and I played the bass guitar for them, and they played like the Record Theater, a couple shows, and it was fun being able to play the bass guitar on stage because you can just jump around like an idiot and. I played a heavy, and I would just beat the shit out of those strings, and it just right a heavy pick on a bass guitar, you can really just dig in. So yeah, I get that.
No, for sure. And before I kick it up to Angel again, give us a little bit of a rig rundown for you, Rich. Like, what do you play? What's your preferred guitars? And if you're with somebody, how did you get involved with them?
Well, these are my. This is my main guitar that I tracked all the rhythm guitars on the whole album on this one. This is the signature Meshuggah 8-string.
Yeah.
See that. And this is the other guitar player from Meshuggah's signature 8-string right there. So this is I recorded all the guitar rhythms on the whole album on this guitar. So we tune from standard tuning with a drop A. So it's like, it's weird too. It's the E-A-E-A and then standard. And so half the songs are written, are probably less than half, are on an H string. So I'll be playing that. And then all the songs that have the guitar solos, I play. My favorite is, this is the Jeff Loomis
Yeah.
signature 7-string. I love that. It is really awesome guitar. So so that's what I've, there's only one song, Outer Space Outlaw. The song is played on the H string, but the solo is on the 7-string.
Oh.
If you notice, Outer Space Outlaw has a small, long, that part in the middle where the space, the war's going on or whatever, gives me enough time to put that down and then grab that and then get ready to solo. So that was the purpose of having that break in the song, is so I could do a solo on that and play that at the same time.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah. So as in for rigs, God, once I stopped doing the Mystic Force and then Shift stuff, I mean, in the Mystic Force days, I had 4 Marshall stacks and I had like 3 Marshall heads and all that kind of stuff. And then with the Shift, I had 2, like 4 Mesa Boogie cabinets and Mesa Boogie heads, and I sold everything. So I had to rebuy a whole new rig. So I haven't even tried it out yet, but I'm going to go with the Laney Ironheart 120 head, and got the Mesa Boogie oversized cabinet, and I got the Jeff Loomis's new Overdrive.
Oh, nice.
And I'm going to try that, and that should rip your fucking head off.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Like
Yeah.
I always liked Nevermore, but I was kind of late to the party with them. But me and my girlfriend Megan were both big Arch Enemy fans.
Yeah.
And that's when I really got to appreciate Jeff's guitar playing,
Yeah.
just being, because he joined a band that I was a fan of, so
Yeah.
it kind of opened Jeff's catalog more to me. Although I was familiar with Nevermore, I was just I was late to the party, but it's fun to discover.
Yeah.
So I definitely enjoyed that, and there's curiosities about future Nevermore stuff right now from what I
know. Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's obviously a huge fan of mine. Obviously that's why I have his signature guitar. I thought maybe if I got that, I'd play like him, but it hasn't worked so far. But no. But yeah. So I can't wait. It's funny. I've owned that amp for probably 5 months, and I haven't even played it yet.
Oh wow.
I live in an apartment. I can't try it out here.
I hear you. Honestly, my computer, yeah, it's like the same. Like I'm literally talking to you guys right now, like with my laptop, but it sits on my amp and the head. Like I just use it as a table to do that, but I can't really, I can noodle and play around, but I can't be plugged in. So it's like, yeah. I mean the apartment area. I mean my neighbors and stuff, they're all cool, but none of them live, this life that we're all accustomed to.
Right,
so they're like, they're not going to be able to handle that too much, for sure.
So we recorded all the guitars here, both the guitars and the bass guitar in my apartment, but we used plugins to track everything. So that way we can get really tight and spend all the time getting the performances right. And then we took the a plugin is just an after, it's still a direct guitar signal. The plugin is just processing it after it's in the computer. So then we take the direct signal or the computer. I take it to Steve's house because Steve Schaefer has a big basement, and we put the amp there and mic the amp all up, and then we reamped it. So we took the direct signal out of what we retracted, and we could take our time doing it there, and then we get really loud, and we set our tones, and then you just hit the record button, and it just goes through the whole song, takes the DI out, runs it through the amp, and then we mic it to the amp.
Oh, that's awesome, Rich.
That's-
Hell yeah. Metal Summoners, we appreciate you guys rocking out and getting involved and asking the great questions that you guys always do. Rich has been awesome, and we really appreciate his time. We're going to kick it with him for a little while longer. We got a nice flow going, but also Metal Summoners, we want to be very respectful of his time. It is New Year's Day. You know, he was also doing not only things with his previous live that some of you might have watched, but also just wanted to, like I said, to be simply respectful of his time. So we're going to rock out a little bit longer, but it is going to be last call for alcohol when it comes to, you know, questions, comments, anything that you want to ask Rich. Pump them on in. We always make sure we clear the board. We will always make sure that you guys get heard, but it is that time for that announcement. Angel, my friend, let's kick it back up to you, my guy.
When it comes to guitar solos, you have, well, first of all, a two-part question. What guitar players influenced you, and do you have any favorite guitar solos
from other people? Any
Yeah.
solos from other people's? Well, what am I guess, like I said, I really don't have any standout. There's so many different players. I mean, Jeff Loomis is probably my ultimate fan. I'm you know, he's probably my biggest influence because I'm more familiar with him, but he's not my, you know, I'm inspired by, like I said, on my social media pages that I go to are nothing but phenomenal players. So it's just like, and I'll click through and see some guy I've never seen before and be like blown away. So there's just so many players out there that are inspiring and great. It's just too many to even talk about. But they're you know, Jeff Loomis is probably my number one. And favorite solos, I wouldn't even where to start with that one. That's impossible. Couldn't even start with that one. Sorry. There's
No,
too
no,
many to choose from. I wouldn't even know where to start.
I mean, there's so many out there.
Yeah. What else you got?
Um, how do you? I'm sorry. How did you come up with the band name?
Steve Schaefer came up with the title for the Kingdom in Flames. How did we come up with that? Oh man, what a pain in the ass that was. I mean, that's a tough one when your bands come together and they try to come up with a name. That name actually was picked from Ashley Maccabee, the drummer. We had so many different names. We had just sheet after sheet after sheet. And no matter what it was, one person in the band would go, you know. And this is the one time someone said something, we're like, I don't hate it. What about you? I don't hate it. All right, well, there you go. And then after a couple times you say it, you're like, then you think about it. It's like, oh man, is that cool? Just gotta, at some point, you just gotta commit to it. You know, first thing you do is once you all don't hate it. If you don't hate it, then you do the Google search, kingdominflames.com or band Kingdom in Flames. Nothing there. So then that puts a check mark beside it. Can you get kingdominflames.com? All right, that's even better. So once the stars line up like that, you just got to just like commit to it. I mean, it took a couple months to come up with the net to all agree on that. But that was something that Ashley came up with. Again, any name you come up with, you know, being in, you know, listening to music, everything is going to remind you of something. You know, like Kingdom in Flames, one of my favorite bands, which In Flames. Oh, well, what do you know? Aren't people going to think it's that? I mean, we're not In Flames. I wish we were, but you know, we're totally different than them. So you can't, you know, I don't know if you would think it's close to that but you know, we like the name. It's got a cool, you know, meaning, and the Kingdom in Flames. And then we have all our songs seem to be about something going wrong, you know, something blowing up or train's out of control or just something's going on. So it's all like a world in disarray. So it fits.
Fits the music biz.
It fits for now. Maybe we'll change. Maybe we'll do something different and change the name for the next album.
Nice.
No. That wouldn't go over. That would be a smart marketing tool, would it?
Yeah. The label would love that.
Yeah, right. And that's another thought is, a label. It's like, what, if you can't get a major label deal, it's like, do you actually want to sign to some smaller company that's not going to do anything for you? So we don't know what's going to happen. I didn't want to wait. That's why we did this. We released this EP or this album ourselves. I mean, it was really a smart thing because, Christ, we just came out in September with telling people that we have a band. The month after that, we released this ourselves. We sold 250 copies almost in 2 months. And now we put anybody can put music up digitally these days. And if we market it the best way we can, I would love to get a major record company to pick us up, because that's, the thing that would benefit us there is tour support. And, obviously that's really important. So I'm doing my best to reach out to all the contacts that I've made over the years. But the contacts that I would have made through like the Mystic Force days, those are different labels. They all are, and I've already reached out to them, and a lot of them are like, this is too modern for them. They're all kind of into they like that 80s style of music or that older style power metal. And we're not power metal anymore. So what's going to happen with the album? I don't know, but I'm going to make sure we find a home for it, at least overseas, to do something cool. So, and with the, we were doing the reissue of all the Mystic Force back catalog with High Roller Records in Germany. So that's really going to help me there. I'm going to let that come out. And I've already done, probably like 8 huge, long interviews for that release or those releases. So when that comes out and gets some momentum going and some more press on my side, I'm making sure that every interview I do, I include what I'm doing now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not just answering these questions. I'm going to ask, so what are you doing now? Or all this kind of stuff. I'm going to try to, I want to, it's great that we're re-releasing the Mystic Force stuff, but I want to help, see if that can help me, if they're buying the Mystic Force stuff, you would think they'd be interested in what I'm doing now and at least hear it. So I think it's going to really help. Really, it's going to be a really fun year because all the Mystic Force stuff will be coming out this year. So I'm pumped about that.
Yeah.
Back to you, Jay.
No, totally. But yeah, no, for sure, Rich. Like when because I remember like a while ago reaching out to you about coming on the show, and you were super down for the cause. It was just kind of like at that little time where it was like, well, I'm not doing a lot of talking right now. I'm doing, I've still got my music thing that I'm doing. This was way before Kingdom in Flames, and it was just one of those things where, the time wasn't really right. Yeah. But when it came to this, when I had seen that you were making posts and you had you had messaged me about hey, here's the music video for Black Widow, and I got this new thing because Mystic Force is great, love Mystic Force, and I was like, hell man, yeah, same thing. You and I, all of us could talk Mystic Force for hours. Yeah. There's so much cool stuff to talk about that, especially with Hammerjacks and all that, like we talked about off the air. But that was really kind of my thing when it came to this, is I was like, hey, Mystic Force is awesome, and we're always going to have time for that. But I was like, I know you've got current stuff, and I was like, well, let's talk about current stuff. So I definitely wanted to make sure that Kingdom in Flames was still the the dominant you know, part of your interview today too, where it's like, you know, with like the tags, you know, hey, we got, you know, Kingdom in Flames, you know, Rich Davis. It was like, hey, no, there's always going to be, you know, the hashtags, and, you know, hey, also got Mystic Force, and there's always going to be that acknowledgement. But it's like, hey,
I'm proud of those days. So
totally.
Yeah. So it's good. I appreciate that, because it's great to talk about what's happening now, especially if I'm trying to stay current with doing something anyway. So you always want to talk about what's happening now. But I mean, it's so weird to be able to look back and say how Mystic Force is still, something's going on with Mystic Force now. It's like 30 years ago. It's really strange. So.
Well, for sure. But for the fans that are watching right now, let's just, you know, let's also, like, you know, let's just take a moment to kind of introduce anybody who's not familiar with Rich, if you don't mind, you know, talk a little bit about, you know, how Mystic Force, you know, came together as a band and how they got their name and stuff.
I think we started around, I think it was in '84 we started. It started from I had a band called Maiden Voyage, and it was me and the guitar player Mark Richard, and we had a drummer at the time that got, his father sent him away to juvie hall or something like that. He was such a bad, out of control kid, and we all were. And so we were looking for a drummer and a bass player, and we put an ad up in a local music store in Towson called Gord Miller Music, and it had the little pull tabs on there. And so we put the ad up looking for a bass player and a drummer, and Keith Menzer pulled the tab and then called us up, and he was interested in talking. And so we got together, and he was trying to put a band together. We were trying to put a band together. We took all our gear over to Keith's house and Keith's mom's house, and Keith's brother was there, and Keith's brother was Scott Menzer, and he was playing drums at the time. So we and this is in '84, and we just started I mean, that's how the band started. I mean, that was the beginning of the ride. It was so, and then the band, from then on, it was me and Keith were the lead. I mean, the main people that kept the driving force behind the band. And, you know, with the lineup climaxing or finishing off with Bobby Hicks when he joined the band, the vocalist, and Chris Lembeck on drums. It's funny, the very first show that Mystic Force played, it was somewhere in Pasadena, Prisoners or something like, I can't remember the name of the club. But Bobby Hicks's band opened up for us, our very first show. And we ended up, you know, it's kind of weird how we ended up getting Bobby as our vocalist from there. How did the name come about? The name came about, Keith had a band called Mystic Force.
Oh.
And I had the band Maiden Voyage. And the drummer at the time when we were picking names was Jim Odie. He had a band called Beastmaster. So we all took the names, stuck them in a hat, and we all said, look, once we pick that name, that's it. The band's going to start from right now. We're going to be that. And so Mystic Force came out of the hat, and that was it. I'm like, shit. But so that was how we came up with the name. And from '84 till, God, in the early 2000s, I mean, we were together for a long time.
Yeah, man. No, for sure. And then, you know, you, of course, like you'd mentioned earlier tonight, you know, you had the Shift band as well.
Yeah. Well, Mystic Force, you know, being together with a band for like 25 years, we were like brothers. So we loved each other, but, you know, on every other day we hated each other. You know, me and Keith fought all the time. I mean, we were the ones that kind of made the decisions on where to go, moves to make for the band, stuff like that. And we would fight like cats and dogs, like, fuck you, you're an asshole. And then hang up the phone 10 minutes later. What's up, buddy? you know, moving on. I mean, the fight's over. You cussed me out. I cussed you out. But after, you know, like 25 years, we things just started to get so stale. We just, you know, I don't know. It just got so, I wanted to move at a faster pace than we were. And I just couldn't take just things not happening. So I just told Keith, I was like, look, your name, you came up with the name Mystic Force, have it. You take it, because I'm leaving. And so I told Chris, because I'm leaving, and me and Chris were pretty much in like 90, you know, we were at the music basically for the band. So Chris is like, well, I'm not, if you leave, I'm leaving. So Chris and I started the band Shift. And when we started Shift, we had already had the follow-up album from Man vs. Machine written that would have been our fourth album for Mystic Force. So me and Chris took a whole year after we left Mystic Force. We wrote a whole brand new album, and we were going to release that. And Chris was like, well, what are we going to do with this other album? The album that we did before, after Man vs. Machine. And then he's like, why don't we do that first, and then we'll release this other one. So we did Creating a Monster. The first Shift CD was actually going to be a Mystic Force CD.
Oh, wow.
And then the album that we took that whole year off, we never did it. It's on cassette tapes in Chris's house, the whole album. So, but it's kind of weird that the Shift first album was going to be a Mystic Force album.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird how that kind of stuff works out. And we actually had Will Wren come and sing, like, I think he demoed like 5 songs as Mystic Force on some of those songs that made it to that album. And we just couldn't get together. Everybody just, Bill was going a different direction, and me and Keith were kind of like fighting all the time. So it was time just to move on, start something fresh. And I knew after spending 25 years with a band and building and building and building, and then starting from nothing was a dramatic move, but I just had it. I've been just done. So it was worth it to me to go through the pain of starting a brand new band. No. So we did 2 albums with Shift, and we only played like 2 shows. First show I put a hall party together and just packed the place. And then the second show was a sold out show with Avenged Sevenfold at Ram's Head. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's Megan's band, man. That's her ride or die.
It was insane. Because the first time that the Avenged Sevenfold, they booked the show, something happened to the singer last minute, so they canceled the show.
Yeah, he got sick. Yeah, Matt had to go to the hospital.
So they rebooked the show. And so all the people that bought tickets got refunded, and then they actually sold. So they overbooked the show. That place was so over capacity, it was insane. So we were the opening band. So we're getting ready to go on. No sign of the singer again. And we were supposed to go on at 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock. We couldn't go on stage until he walked in the door, because they couldn't refund. If we started, then they couldn't refund the money, or, they had to decide if he's not going to show up, no one should play, or something like that. So they held us off from playing until he walked in the door. So he was an hour late. So we go on an hour late to an over capacity crowd at Ram's Head, and the crowd was blaming us for the late show. So our first song, they're like, boo, and they're throwing shit up on stage at us. Oh, it was a blast. I had a great time. I had a great show.
No, that's awesome, man. You actually would have been.
Fuck yeah, I'm having a great time.
So Megan was there for that show, right in the front row on the guardrail. So she
really?
Yeah, she saw you guys.
Really? Oh, that was cool. That was a great show. I mean, Avenged Sevenfold's awesome.
Yeah. No, 100%. What's your personal take on just like stylistic shifts and stuff like that, because as bands mature and change, and more albums, of course, changes get made, whether it's vocal preferences, vocal needs, different guitar tone, sound. If you're familiar in a big chunk of with Avenged Sevenfold, what's your thought process on their stylistic shifts they've done?
I think they're an awesome band,
Mhm.
but I was never an Avenged Sevenfold fan.
I got you, man.
Awesome. I mean, when I saw them that night, I'm like, oh my God, they were just, I mean, they're pros. There's no question about it. They know what they're doing. They're showmen. I mean, they put on their theatrical. They're just great. It's just not my not my specific taste.
That's cool, man. No, absolutely. Yeah, I was just kind of curious if you continued, casual like following them and stuff, because you had mentioned earlier about how much you love the new bands that are coming out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of curious if you kind of rolled with them a little bit, or if it was just like, hey, these guys are awesome, they're totally bitching, but they're just they're their thing. And
I'm more on the heavy side, more like a Bullet for My Valentine,
Oh, cool.
more the heavier driving.
and In Flames, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you seen them recently with Chris Broderick in the band now?
No, I haven't. I'm
Oh,
dying.
it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
They're doing great. They're doing great.
Yeah, because I like Chris a lot, because like
Yeah.
I was familiar with his like actual like classically trained style, but then I didn't get to see him for the first time until he was playing in Megadeth.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he used that guitar pick that clips onto his thumb.
Oh yeah, the thumb picks.
Yeah.
The only other person that I've ever seen use those, at least as far as like, a big enough name that I would know that you'd be familiar with, that is actually Jack Blades from Night Ranger.
Does he really?
Yeah, he plays bass with a thumb pick.
I didn't know that. That's neat.
I always thought that was like super duper cool for sure. But Rich, we really want to thank you, man. We don't want to eat up too much of your time because you've been more than generous. And we're also a big fan of also leaving the fans to want more, because we would definitely love to have you back on again as well.
I would love that myself. I would love it. I'll be back anytime you want me.
Sounds great.
I'll
Absolutely.
be here.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Before I kick it back up to Angel for anything final from him, but please, Rich, let everybody know where Kingdom in Flames can be found.
Well, you can go to our website is kingdominflamesband.com. And the reason I had to put band there, somehow I screwed that up. I don't know. Anyway, it's kingdominflamesband.com. We have Facebook, Kingdom in Flames, and we got Instagram and TikTok and YouTube pages. But if you go to the website, that has all our social links. That's got the links to the video and everything. And we got all our merchandise up there and shirts, and buy the CD there. And the CD is now available, Apple, Amazon, Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, or whatever. So it should be anywhere, where you buy music, it should be up there.
Nice, man. That's awesome. And one more final fun thing from me as a fellow member of like the heavily tattooed community, is there any plans or potential room left for maybe a little KIF like circle and crown on you somewhere?
Sure. I'll do that. I will do that.
Nice.
And I'll do that.
Oh, hell yeah, bro. Right on. Angel, right back up to you, my friend, if there's anything left for the Metal Summoners or the Kingdom in Flames fans. You got plenty of space for one of those, brother.
There you go. Do it.
Oh, I plan to. I got to cover one up.
There you go.
Yeah, the one with my ex's name.
Well, my wife is a tattoo artist. She's the one who does me.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Where are you located?
Her shop is at Altered Image Tattooing in Pasadena.
Nice.
California?
What's that?
Is that California?
No, it's in Maryland.
Maryland.
Maryland. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Pasadena, like Pasadena, California.
No.
Oh yeah, no, he did, but yeah, we have a Pasadena as well.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Maryland.
Yeah, my buddy Ron from Empire Extreme, Angel, he lives in Pasadena.
Oh. As much as I go to Maryland, I thought I would know by now, but
No, all good, my friend. Is there anything that's popped up from the Metal Summoners, my good dude?
Nope.
Cool. No worries, man. And anything final from yourself?
From me?
Oh, for Angel.
No, we did that part. Into it.
I think we're caught up.
Yeah, no worries, man. But again, Rich, thank you so much. And the biggest thing for myself and Angel, of course, is that, you enjoyed yourself, you had a good time, you felt respected, and that you felt that you liked the questions that were asked, and you felt that it was beneficial to not only yourself, but the continued success for Kingdom in Flames.
Absolutely. Dude, you guys, thank you so much. I mean, this is what it's all about, right? I mean, it's all about talking about it. The music is one thing, but it's getting out and talking to you guys and letting people hear what's behind the music and how it's done, and how the only way I can get that out is from you getting these questions out for me, so they can hear it. So this is what it's all about. So I appreciate this. This is really cool. It helps us for sure in a big way. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, our pleasure. Metal Summoner fans, Kingdom in Flames fans, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much again for tuning in, rocking out, showing Rich so much love, show myself and Angel so much love. Make sure that you're getting out there and supporting Inside the Upside Down, the newest record from Kingdom in Flames. Rich put it out there where they can be found on all their socials. You can find him on Facebook as well, and as well as his other socials as well. You can follow Angel at Angel Alamo 78 on Instagram, as well as his Facebook page. You can find me at Salem.Vampire on Instagram as well, and you can also find me on Facebook as well. And also our behind-the-scenes co-host and Psycho Steve. You can find him at The Real Psycho Steve on Instagram, and you can also find him at PsychoStevePresents.com as well. And again, make sure that you guys are following the Metal Summit on both Facebook and YouTube in particular, because that's where you're watching Rich right now. That's where he answered all your questions, and that's where he's been rocking out for the last hour and a half. And also make sure that you're following our Instagram, because that's where the guest announcements come out first and foremost. But you guys have yourselves an absolutely fantastic rest of your week. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll put out a guest announcement over the weekend. Next week's episode has been confirmed, and we will have a fresh episode for you guys in a week next week for the Metal Summit. What's up, Angel?
Tomorrow.
What's up?
Till tomorrow.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I'm the one who booked that on short notice. Yes, we actually have a episode tomorrow with our friends from the Suicide Puppets, who are going to be coming back on to talk about their new single that comes out on Friday. And then we will have a guest announcement for you for our regular standard time of next Wednesday. Hush, Angel. Don't make me do stuff. So we will see you guys tomorrow with the Suicide Puppets. It's going to be an absolutely great time. And then we'll have more fun things in the future of 2025. But again, this has been all about the Rich Davis experience and Kingdom in Flames. Thank you so much on his behalf. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Take care. Be good to each other. See you in 24 hours. As
Thank
always,
you guys. Thank you. Woo.
Our pleasure, brother. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as always, you guys have been watching the Metal Summit.
All right.